Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. I'm Ifoma. So in today's video you'll be drafting a pattern of this beautiful dress. So if this looks like what you're interested in, let's dive into the video. So to begin, the first measurement we're going to be taking is we're going to mark our neck measurement on the end here. From the edge of this paper, we are going to come down by 1 inch. Okay, so remember that this dress has a built-up bishop neck, so that is why we are leaving this 1 inch on the shoulder part. So I'm just connecting this 1 inch. Alright, so we are also going to mark from this shoulder line here, because this is our shoulder line, not the 1 inch that we added for the neck. So from there we are going to mark my bust point, under bust point, my half length, and then the full length of the dress we are making. Okay, the full length of this dress is 36 inches, and this paper is not enough, so I'm just going to leave it like that. When we are cutting it on our actual fabric, we can then complete the length of the dress. Okay, so I'm just repeating the measurement that I took, so I will be sure to get a straight line because I'm using a short ruler. Okay, so before I forget, we are also going to mark out our hip line, my hip line, which is at 27 inches, and that is what I just marked right now. All right, so we are going to connect all this line with a straight rule. Okay, so having gotten all this, the first thing we are going to do is to take our neck measurement. Okay, and if you look at this towel very well, you're going to see that this towel has a dart on the neck. Okay, so for us to also put the dart on this dart on the neckline, we're going to leave chance. Okay, we're going to leave enough fabric on the neckline for that dart. So instead of marking 3 inches, which is my normal neck measurement, I will mark 5 inches, so that when we take off the dart we have for the neck, is going to come back to 3 inches. All right, so from there we are also going to take our shoulder measurements. My shoulder measurement, which is at 15, instead of marking 15, I'm going to add extra 2 inches to it. That is going to give us 17 inches, and we're going to divide 17 inches into 2, and we're going to mark it here as well. Okay, so let me repeat what I just said. I said because of the dart on the neckline, we are going to add 2 inches on both our neck measurement, our neck width, and our shoulder measurement, and we have added that. So this is what we have. Instead of having 15 inches for our shoulder line, we added 2 inches to it and got it to 17 inches. Instead of making our neckline 3 inches, we added 2 inches to it, and we arrived at 5 inches. Okay, so that is that. And then from that we are going to come up on the neck by 1 inch. Remember, we left 1 inch here. Okay, so this is the 1 inch right now. We're going to attach it to our neck. Okay, because this particular dress we are making has a built up together bishop neck. It's not like the one we cut and then we attach our bishop neck at the end of the project. Okay, so from here on the shoulder line we are going to come down by 1 inch, and then from this place we're just going to curve. We're going to take this 1 inch, connect it with a straight line to the neckline, and from there we are going to curve in to our built up neck. Okay, let me just use this marker and make this one bolder. Okay, so this is what we have right now. So we are going to take from here, we are going to take our armhole measurement. We already know how to get that. We are going to take our armhole measurement and then we'll connect with a straight line. Alright, so having gotten that, this place now, this new dot now is going to be our chest line. Okay, so now this is our chest line, this is our chest line, our bust line, under bust line, waistline, and then hip line. Okay, so on this chest line, on this armhole line, we are going to get our armhole curve, okay? And we already know how to get our armhole curve, so I'm just going to quickly do this. Okay, so having gotten that, the next measurement we are going to take is our nipple to nipple measurement, and we are going to input that measurement, which is our nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. We are going to put it on the chest line, on the waistline, on the bust line, on the hip line, and also on the under bust line. So when we have gotten that, we are going to connect all the points with a straight line. Okay, so when we have gotten this, on the waistline, we are going to go in and out by half of an inch. This is the normal way we take our dart all the time. And on the hip line, we are going to come up by 3 inches. Okay, so if you look at this dress very well, you are going to see that it has a dart, but the dart is not to the end of the dress. So that's why we are going to come up on our hip line by 3 inches, and that is where our dart is going to stop. Okay, so from here, from our waistline, we are going to connect this dart to 1 inch below our bust. Okay, we are going to connect these dots to this place. We are going to do the same thing for this side as well. Okay, so when we have achieved that, we are also going to connect this one to this line, this one as well. Okay, so when we have achieved this, we are going to come to our armhole line, because you know that this dress has a princess dart. So we are going to come from the center of this our armhole line, from the center here. We are going to connect. This is the center of our armhole line, right? We are going to connect to the bust line like this. Okay, so this is how to get our princess dart. Then, having gotten that, the next thing we are going to do, we are going to come down from this line. We are going to come down by 1 inch. If we come down by 1 inch, we are going to connect this 1 inch back to this line like this. Okay, so when we have done this, we are going to extend this line by 1.5 inch from our armhole line. We are going to extend it, then we are just going to join it like this to our armhole. Okay, so the reason why we are extending this line out here is so that after joining this, our fabric is not going to shorten at the armhole. Okay, so if you do not join this, your fabric is going to shorten after joining this. So having gotten this, the next thing we're going to do is just to input our normal measurement. Okay, we're going to input our normal measurement. We're going to replace the dart. We're going to put an extra allowance for the sewing allowance. So I'm just going to quickly do that, input all my basic measurements. And on the hip line, we're going to add extra 3 inches, because if you look at that dress very well, you see that it's not tight on the hip line. From the hip down, it's just tight on the waist, very tight on the waist, but loose on the hip. So we are going to add extra 3 inches to our hip measurement. So I'm just going to quickly do that, and then we'll continue. Okay, so after we have imputed our measurements, this is what we have. This is what we have right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go on and cut this. Remember, on the hip line, you're going to leave it at a normal A line. You're going to put a little A line on the waistline, because it's not a straight, it's not a pencil gown. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut it. And when we are cutting this, we are going to cut here and we're going to stop here. Okay, so we're just going to cut this thing, and when we are done, we're going to head over to the back pattern. So after I've cut it out, this is what it looks like. Then we're going to head over to the back pattern. For the back, we have also marked out all the basic lines of the body. This one is the hip line, the waistline, the underbust, the bust line, and then the shoulder line. Okay, so like we did for the front, we are also going to leave allowance for the neck, for the built up bishop neck on the neckline. Okay, so this is 1 inch, and for the back line, I've also left out some space for my zip allowance. Okay, this is 1 inch. You can make yours 1.5 inches depending on how you want it. Okay, so for the neckline, our neckline is going to be a normal 3 inches because we are not putting that for the back. Okay, we are not putting that for the back neck, so it's going to be a normal 3 inches. Or let's just use 2.5 inches, so that it's not going to be very, very wide after we are done. And then our normal shoulder measurement is what we are going to put. We are not going to add anything to it. So our normal shoulder measurement, which is 15 inches, is what we are going to mark here. Okay, and then we are going to come down for our shoulder slope by 1 inch. So we're just going to connect to this point. Okay, and we're just going to connect this point like this. Okay, just like we did for the front, we are also going to take our armhole measurement, and across we mark our chest line. Okay, so this is basically the same thing we did for the front. The only difference is that the armhole of the back is not going to be as deep as the armhole for the front. So we're just going to connect it like this. This one is the armhole for the back. Okay, and for the dart, we are going to do the exact same thing. We are going to go in by 4, which is our nipple to nipple measurement on all the lines we have drawn. And then just like we did before, we are also going to come up with 3 inches on the waistline. So we are going to connect all the points with our ruler. Okay, so after doing this on the waistline, this is the waistline, we are going to also go in and out with 1/2 inch. But this time around, the back is not going to have a princess dart, so we're just going to connect this dart straight to the chest line. That is where the dart is going to be stopping. So when we have done that, we are also going to connect this one all the way down to 3 inches above the hip. Alright, so after we have achieved this, this is all for the back. The only thing we're going to do now is to input our basic bodice measurements, just like you did for the front. We are also going to add 3 inches to the hip line. I'm also going to cut it in an A-line form. Okay. So just like we did for the back, for the front, this is the back bodice. Okay, the only difference is that we're not going to be cutting this dart out, but we are going to trace it on our actual fabric. So we're just going to cut this out like this. So this is what we have for the back, and this is what we have for the front. So we are going to go ahead and trace this out on our actual fabric. This is the fabric we are using. We already have it on fold, and this fabric is a very thick crepe. Okay, when you are making yours, you are advised to use something very thick. Use a thick material to make it, so it's going to stand, especially on the hem side. Because if you look back at the picture, you're going to see how much the hem side is standing. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to blend in this neck, because the neck is not just going to be straight, it's going to have a little bit of a deepness, okay, a little bit of a curve. So I'm just going to come in just by little on the neck. Okay, so this is it. All right, this is how it's going to be. So we're not going to cut it all the way to through the hem of the dress. And remember, this paper is not up to the length we want, so we are going to complete the length of our gown in this dress. Right, so we are going to complete the length, which is 37 inches, and we are going to add 2 inches to it to make it 40 inches. 39 inches, sorry. That 2 inches we added is for the folding allowance. So after we've completed the length of our dress, we're going to go on and start cutting. Okay, so this is what it looks like after we are done cutting. This one is for the front, so we are going to do the same for the back. So here we have also went ahead to cut out our back pattern, and then this is our front pattern. Okay, so the next thing we are going to cut now is the sleeve of this dress. And if you look at the picture of the dress, that the sleeve is a kind of a cap sleeve, but it's extended into the armhole. Okay, it's not like in our normal cap sleeve that stops halfway. This cap sleeve extended into the armhole. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my pattern paper. So here what we did was we drafted out a basic sleeve. This is a basic sleeve block. All right, so to get that cap sleeve effect on the sleeve, from the hem of the basic sleeve we are going to come up, because this is the hem and this is the folding. Okay, this is just my basic short sleeve, which is 8 inches long and 7 inches long. So I'm just going to start from here, and I'm going to measure 3 inches. Okay, I'm going to go up by 3 inches here, and I'm also when I go up by 3 inches, I'm going to connect it like so. Okay, so that is the kind of sleeve that this has. I'm going to go up by 3 inches. If you want it to be shorter, you can go up by 4, you can go up by 5, depending on how small you want the sleeve of this to be. So when I've done that, I'm just going to use this my French rule to connect to the hem. This is the hem. Remember that this is the hem and this is just the allowance of the sleeve. So I'm just going to connect this to the hem of the sleeve. Okay, so this is how the sleeve is going to be. All right, so I'm just going to cut this out. So this is the sleeve of this. Cut this out on my actual fabric. So I'm just going to fold this by 4. We are going to add 0.5 inch sewing allowance to your sleeve. So this is the sleeve of this gown. All right, so we are going to stop here for today, and tomorrow we are going to post a tutorial on how we put this gown together. So if you have watched up to this level, thank you very much for watching. If you're a new subscriber, please hit the subscribe button, and thank you for stopping by. If you're an old subscriber, thank you for always supporting, and then turn on your notification bell so you'll be the first to know once we upload the sewing of this dress tomorrow. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching. See you guys tomorrow.